Hi, Shabbat Shalom. This week, the Torah portion, and as always, is coming from the scriptures. And, I don't think I've ever told you where I actually get the portions from. I have a great little book here. It's called Daily Bread, and it is from the Daily Bread organization, Ariel Media, and you can order these online. I'll put all of the ordering information down on the bottom. I don't get anything from this. This is I've gotten these for several years, and it has spots where you can go in and do your journaling and what you've learned from each of the different portions. But I love the little books, so I'll make sure I put that information in for you. This week's portion is called Shmot, names. Today is January 10th, or the 21st of Tevet. I always like to keep track of the Hebrew days of the week. It's I don't know. I know we're probably wrong, but I want to track it as best I can. I want to do everything that I can to be in line with what Yah tells us to do. I mean, there's so much of it that, has been lost over the years, but I want to do everything I can just to be sure. Now, this week's reading starts Exodus. We finished up Genesis last week, and we're going to be getting into some of the major stories of the people of Israel and coming out of Egypt. This week's portion starts on page 57. And we're going to start in Exodus 1, verse 1, and we're going to go through chapter 6, verse 1. Then we're going to jump over to Isaiah. We're going to start in chapter 27, verse 6, and we'll go through 38, verse 13, and then we'll also jump down into chapter 29 and read verses 22 and 23. Then we're going to go over to Acts. Acts, we're going to start chapter 7, and we're going to go verses 17 through 37. Okay, starting in Exodus 1:1. And these are the names of the children of Israel who came to Mitzrayim with Yaakov, each one with his household. Reuben, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Issachar, Zebulun, and Benjamin, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, and Asher. And all those who were descendants of Yaakov were 70 beings, as Joseph was already in Mitzrayim. And Joseph died, and all his brothers, and all that generation. And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased very much, multiplying and became very strong. And the land was filled with them. Then a new sovereign arose over Mitzrayim, who did not know Joseph. And he said to his people, see, the people of the children of Israel are more and stronger than we. Come, let us act wisely toward them, lest they increase. And it shall be, when fighting befalls us, that they shall join our enemies and fight against us, and shall go up out of the land. Down. Sorry, Zelig loves my attention. So they set slave masters over them to afflict them with their burdens. And they built for Pharaoh supply cities: Pithom, and Ramesses. But the more they afflicted them, the more they increased and grew. And they were in dread of the children of Israel. And the Mitzrites made the children of Israel serve with harshness, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage in mortar and in brick and in all kinds of work in the field. All their work which they had made them do was with harshness. Then the sovereign of Mitzrayim spoke to the Hebrew midwives, of whom the name of one was Zipporah, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, when you deliver the Hebrew women and see them on the birth stool, if it is a son, you shall put him to death. But if it is a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwives feared Elohim and did not do as the sovereigns of Mitzrayim commanded them, and kept the male children alive. So the sovereign of Mitzrayim called for the midwives and said to them, why have you done this and kept the male children alive? And the midwives said to Pharaoh, because the Hebrew women are not like the Mitzrite women, for they are lively and give birth before the midwives come to them. So Elohim was good to the midwives, and the people increased and became very numerous. And it came to be, because the midwives feared Elohim, that he provided households for them. And Pharaoh commanded all his people, saying, throw every son who is born into the river, and keep alive every daughter. And the men of the house of Levi went and married a daughter of Levi. And the woman conceived and bore a son. And she saw that he was a lovely child, and she hid him for 3 months. And when she could hide him no longer, she took an ark of wicker for him, and coated it with tar and pitch, and put the child in it, and laid it in the reeds by the edge of the river. And his sister stood at a distance to know what would be done to him. And the daughter of Pharaoh came down to wash herself in the river. And her young women were walking by the riverside. And when she saw the ark among the reeds, she set her female servant to get it, and opened it and saw the child, and see, the baby wept. So she had compassion on him and said, this is one of the children of the Hebrews. And his sister said to Pharaoh's daughter, shall I go and call a nurse for you from the Hebrew women to nurse the child for you? And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, go. And the young woman went and called the child's mother. And Pharaoh's daughter said to her, take this child away and nurse him for me. Then I shall pay your wage. So the woman took the child and nursed him. And the child grew, and she brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son. And she called his name Moshe, saying, because I have drawn him out of the water. And in those days it came to be, when Moshe was grown, that he went out to his brothers and looked at their burden. And he saw a Mitzrite striking a Hebrew, one of his brothers. So he turned this way and that. And when he saw no one, he struck the Mitzrite and hid him in the sand. And he went out on a second day and saw 2 Hebrew men fighting. And he said to one who did the wrong, why do you strike your neighbor? And he said, who made you the head and a judge over us? Do you intend to kill me as you killed the Mitzrite? And Moshe feared and said, truly this matter is known. And Pharaoh heard of the matter, and he sought to kill Moshe. But Moshe fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian. And he sat down by a well. And the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came and drew water, and they filled the trough with water. to water their father's flock. But the shepherds came and drove them away. Then Moshe stood up and came to their rescue and watered their flock. And they came to Reuel, their father, and he said, "How is it that you have come so soon today?" And they said, "A Mitzrite rescued us from the hands of the shepherds, and he drew enough water for us and watered the flock." And he said to his daughters, "And where is he? Why did you leave the man? Call him and let him eat bread." And Moshe agreed to dwell with the man, and he gave Zipporah, his daughter, to Moshe. And she bore him a son, and he called his name Gershom. And he said, "I have become a sojourner in a foreign land." And it came to be after these many days that the sovereign of Mitzrayim died, and the children of Israel groaned because of the slavery, and they cried out, and their cry came up to Elohim because of the slavery. And Elohim heard their groaning, and Elohim remembered his covenant with Abraham, with Isaac, and with Yaakov. And Elohim looked on the children of Israel, and Elohim knew. And Moshe was shepherding the flock of Yithro, his father-in-law, the priest of Midian. And he led the flock to the back of the wilderness and came to Horeb, the mountain of Elohim. And the messenger of Yahweh appeared to him in a flame of fire from the midst of a bush. And he looked and saw the bush burning with fire, but the bush was not consumed. And Moshe said, "Let me turn aside now and see this great sight, why the bush does not burn." And Yahweh saw that he turned aside to see. And Elohim called to him from the midst of the bush and said, "Moshe, Moshe." And he said, "Here I am." And he said, Do not come near here. Take your sandals off your feet, for the place on which you stand is set apart ground." And he said, "I am the Elohim of your father, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, and the Elohim of Yaakov." And Moshe hid his face, for he was afraid to look at Elohim. And Yahweh said, "I have indeed seen the oppression of my people who are in Mitzrayim, and I have heard their cry because of their slave drivers, for I know their sorrows. And I have come down to deliver them from the hand of the Mitzrites, and to bring them up from the land to a good and spacious land, to a land flowing with milk and honey, to the place of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hevites, and the Jebusites. And now, see, the cry of the children of Israel has come to me, and I have also seen the oppression with which the Mitzrites oppress them. And now, come, I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the children of Israel, out of Mitzrayim." And Moshe said to Elohim, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and that I should bring the children of Israel out of Mitzrayim?" And he said, "Because I am with you, and this is to you the sign that I have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Mitzrayim, you are to serve Elohim on this mountain." And Moshe said to Elohim, "See, when I come to the children of Israel and say to them, 'The Elohim of your fathers has sent me to you,' and they say to me, 'What is his name?' what shall I say to them?" And Elohim said to Moshe, "I am that which I am." And he said, "Thus you shall say to the children of Israel, I am has sent me to you. And Elohim said further to Moshe, thus you are to say to the children of Israel, Yahweh, Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, and the Elohim of Yaakov has sent me to you. This is my name forever, and this is my remembrance to all generations. Go, and you shall gather the elders of Israel together and say to them, Yahweh, Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, of Isaac, and of Yaakov, appeared to me, saying, I have indeed visited you and seen what is done to you in Mitzrayim. And I say, I am bringing you up out of the affliction of Mitzrayim to the land of the Canaanites, and the Hittites, and the Amorites, and the Perizzites, and the Hivites, and the Jebusites, to the land flowing with milk and honey. And they shall listen to your voice, and you shall come, you and the elders of Israel, to the sovereign of Mitzrayim, and you shall say to him, Yahweh, Elohim of the Hebrews, has met with us. And now, please let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness to slaughter to Yahweh our Elohim. But I know that the sovereign of Mitzrayim is not going to let you go, not even by a strong hand. And I shall stretch out my hand and strike Mitzrayim with all my wonders which I shall do in its midst. And after that he shall let you go. And I shall give his people favor in the eyes of the Mitzrites. And it shall be that when you go, you shall not go empty-handed, but every woman shall ask from her neighbor and from her who sojourns in her house objects of silver and objects of gold and garments, and you shall put them on your sons and on your daughters, and shall plunder the Mitzrites. And Moshe answered and said, if they do not believe me, nor listen to my voice, and say, Yahweh has not appeared to you, and Yahweh shall say to them, what is that in your hand? And Yahweh said to him, what is that in your hand? And he said, a rod. And he said, throw it on the ground. So he threw it on the ground, and it became a serpent, and Moshe fled from it. And Yahweh said to Moshe, reach out your hand and seize it by the tail. So he reached out his hand and took hold of it, and it became a rod in his hand, so that they believed that Yahweh, Elohim of their fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, the Elohim of Isaac, and the Elohim of Yaakov has appeared to you. And Yahweh said to him again, now put your hand in your bosom. And he took his hand into his bosom. And when he took it out, and see, his hand was leprous like snow. And he said, put your hand in your bosom again. So he put his hand into his bosom again and drew it out of his bosom, and see, it was restored like his other flesh. And it shall be, if they do not believe you, nor listen to the voice of the first sign, they shall believe the voice of the latter sign. And it shall be, if they do not believe even these two signs, or listen to your voice, that you shall take water from the river and pour it out on the dry land. And the water which you take from the river shall become blood on the dry land. And Moshe said to Yahweh, O Yahweh, I am not a man of words, neither before nor since. you have spoken to your servant, for I am slow of speech and slow of tongue. And Yahweh said to him, who has made men's mouth? Or who makes dumb or deaf or seeing or blind? Is it not I, Yahweh? And now go, and I shall be with your mouth and teach you what to say. But he said, oh Yahweh, please send by the hand of him who you would send. And the displeasure of Yahweh burned against Moshe, and he said, is not Aharon the Levite your brother? I know that he speaks well, and see, he is also coming out to meet you. And when he sees you, he shall be glad in his heart. And you shall speak to him and put the words in his mouth. And I am with your mouth and with his mouth, and I will teach you what to do. And he shall speak for you to the people. And it shall be that he shall be a mouth for you, and you shall be an Elohim for him. And take this rod in your hand, with which you shall do the signs. Then Moshe went and returned to Yethro, his father-in-law, and said to him, please let me go and return to my brothers who are in Mitzrayim, to see whether they are still alive. And Yethro said to Moshe, go in peace. And Yahweh said to Moshe in Midian, go, return to Mitzrayim, for all the men are dead who sought your life. So Moshe took his wife and his sons and set them on a donkey, and he returned to the land of Mitzrayim. And Moshe took the rod of Elohim in his hand. And Yahweh said to Moshe, as you go back to Mitzrayim, see that you do all those wonders before Pharaoh, which I have put in your hand. But I am going to strengthen his heart, so that he does not let his people go, so that he does not let the people go. And you shall say to Pharaoh, thus says Yahweh, Israel is my son, my firstborn. So I say to you, let my son go to serve me. But if you refuse to let him go, see, I am killing your son, your firstborn. And it came to be on the way, in the lodging place, that Yahweh met him and sought to kill him. And Zipporah took a sharp stone and cut off the foreskin of her son and threw it at his feet and said, you are indeed a bridegroom of blood to me. So he let him go. Then she said, you are a bridegroom of blood because of the circumcision. And Yahweh said to Aharon, go to meet Moshe in the wilderness. And he went and met him on the mountain of Elohim and kissed him. Moshe then told Abraham all the words of Yahweh, who had sent him, and all the signs which he had commanded him. And Moshe went with Aharon and gathered together all the elders of the children of Israel. And Aharon spoke all the words which Yahweh had spoken to Moshe. Then he did the signs before the eyes of the people, and the people believed. And they heard that Yahweh had visited the children of Israel, and that he had looked on their affliction, and they bowed their heads and did obeisance. And afterwards Moshe and Aharon went in and said to Pharaoh, "Thus says Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, let my people go so that they celebrate a festival to me in the wilderness." And Yahweh said, and Pharaoh said, "Who is Yahweh that I should obey his voice and let Israel go? I do not know Yahweh, nor am I going to let Israel go." And they said, "The Elohim of the Hebrews has met with us. Please, let us go 3 days' journey into the wilderness and slaughter to Yahweh our Elohim, lest he fall upon us with pestilence or with the sword." But the sovereign of Mitzrayim said to them, "Moshe and Aharon, why do you take the people from their work? Get back to your burdens." And Pharaoh said, "See, the people of the land are many now, and you make them cease from their burdens." And the same day, Pharaoh commanded the slave drivers of the people and their foremen, saying, "You are no longer to give the people straw to make bricks as before. Let them go and gather straw for themselves, and lay on them the required amount of bricks which they made before. Do not diminish it, for they are idle. That is why they're crying out, saying, 'Let us go and slaughter to our Elohim.' Let more work be laid on the men, so that they labor in it, and not pay attention to words of falsehood." And the slave drivers of the people and their foremen went out and spoke to the people, saying, "Thus says Pharaoh, I do not give you straw. Go, take straw for yourselves wherever you find it, for your work shall not be diminished." And the people were scattered in all the land of Mitzrayim to gather stubble for straw. And the slave drivers were hurrying them on, saying, "Fulfill your actions, your daily matters, and as when there was straw." Also, the foremen of the children of Israel, whom Pharaoh's slave drivers had set over them, were struck and were asked, "Why have you not fulfilled your law in making bricks, both yesterday and today as before?" And the foreman of the children of Israel came and cried out to Pharaoh, saying, "Why do you treat your servants this way? There is no straw given to your servants. And they say to us, 'Make bricks.' And see, your servants are struck, but your own people are at fault." But he said, "You are idle. You are idle. That is why you say, 'Let us go and slaughter to Yahweh.' So now go, work, and straw is not given to you, but deliver the amount of bricks." And the foreman of the children of Israel saw that they were in trouble after it was said, "You are not to diminish your daily amount of bricks." And when they came out from Pharaoh, they met Moshe and Aharon, who stood there to meet them. And they said to them, "Let Yahweh look on you and judge, because you have made us loathsome in the eyes of Pharaoh and in the eyes of his servants, to make a sword in his hands to kill us." And Moshe returned to Yahweh and said, "Yahweh, why have you done evil to these people? Why did you send me? For ever since I came to Pharaoh to speak in your name, he has done evil to this people, and you have not delivered your people at all." And Yahweh said to Moshe, "Now see what I do to Pharaoh, for with a strong hand he is going to let them go, and with a strong hand he is going to drive them out of his land." Yeah, I can't help but look at this and wonder, I the picture that we always have of a slave is they have nothing. They have no possessions, they have no rights, they have nothing at all. But what I'm seeing in this reminds me so much of the way that the world is right now. And I know I've been guilty of it most of my life. Just being a slave to work, being a slave to doing all the things for everybody else and not focusing on God, not focusing on Yahweh and what he wants us to do. I see so much of the world today in the children of Israel here, just stuck in that grind, stuck in that slavery of functioning through life for the dollar, for all the things, just pushing and pushing and pushing without a real focus as to why. I mean, Yahweh is supposed to be our focus. And we never know, when he's coming to save us from that tedious work that we do now, that focus that we have. I mean, all of the things that are getting ready to happen in Egypt, are things that, we can look at today and we see all of the children that are being sacrificed. Here they were being killed off by Pharaoh just for living. And Christians today are being persecuted and killed and driven off just like they were here. And I always wondered, why the Old Testament was so important. Why was the Torah so important? But even worse, why does the Old Testament scare so many Christians? But it's a path for exactly where we're going or where we're at. It's just a repeat of life. We're blocked in as slaves now to the world, and we're starting to see, people are starting to wake up and realize that Yahweh is so important in our lives. He's guiding us, just like with Moshe when he was, he told Moshe exactly what he was going to do. And even with that, Moshe was like, oh no, not me. How many times have even in doing this reading online, I fought it for a long time. It's like, no, I can't do that. I can't do that. I don't have the voice for that. I don't have all the things. I don't have enough knowledge. I don't have, I'm scared. But just like he told Moshe, I will give you the words to say. And I never know what it is I'm going to say. That's why I don't ever repeat any any kind I record. I do it one time. I do it one time only because I don't want to question what the words are that Yah puts in my mouth. I want to be able to step forward and be faithful with what He gives me. He showed Moshe every step that he was going to take, and Moshe still doubted, but he did it. He complained, but he did it. And that's the faithfulness I want to have. I'm terrified doing these. I don't understand why I'm doing these. But I know this is something that He's wanting me to do. He's wanting me to grow through these. So I do them. But let's go ahead and move on to Isaiah. Starting in chapter 27, verse 6. And that's going to be on page 433. Those who come, He causes to take root in Yaakov. Israel shall bloom and bud, and they shall fill the face of the world with fruit. He has smitten him as He strikes the ones who are striking him, or as a killer was He killed as He was killing. In measure, by sending her away, you contend with her, and He shall take away by His rough wind in the day of the east wind. Therefore, by this the crookedness of Yaakov is covered, and this is all the fruit of taking away his sin. And He makes all the stones of the slaughter place like chalk stones that are beaten to dust. Asherim and sun pillars rise no more, for the city of defiance is lonely, a home forsaken and left like a wilderness. There the calf feeds, and there it lies down and shall consume its branches. When its twigs are dry, they are broken off. Women come and set them on fire, for it is a people of no understanding. Therefore, He who makes them has no compassion on them, and He who formed them shows them no favor. And in that day it shall be that Yahweh threshes from the channel of the river to the wadi of Mitzrayim, and you shall be gathered one by one, O children of Israel. And in that day it shall be that a great shofar is blown, and those who are perishing in the land of Asherim and the outcasts of the land of Mitzrayim shall come and shall worship Yahweh in the set apart mountain in Yisrael, in Yerushalayim. Woe to the crown of the drunkards of Ephraim, and to the fading flower of its splendid comeliness that is on the head of the fertile valley, to those who are overcome with wine. See, Yahweh has one who is strong and potent, like a downpour of hail and a destroying storm, like a flood of mighty water overflowing, who casts down to the earth with the hand. The proud crown of the drunkards of Ephraim is trampled underfoot, and the fading flower of its splendid comeliness that is on the head of the fertile valley, like the first fruit before the summer. When one sees it, he hands it up while it's still in his hand, or he eats it up while it is still in his hand. In that day, Yahweh of hosts is for a crown of splendor and a headdress of comeliness to the remnant of his people, and a spirit of right ruling to him who sits in right ruling, and strength to those who turn back the battle at the gate. And those too have gone astray through wine, and through strong drink wandered about. Priests and prophets have gone astray through strong drink. They are swallowed up by wine. They wander about through strong drink. They go astray in vision. They stumble in right ruling. For all tables shall be covered with vomit, no place without filth. Whom would he teach knowledge? And whom would he make to understand the message? Those weaned from milk, those taken from the breast? For it is command upon command, command upon command, line upon line, line upon line, here a little, there a little. For with a jabbering lip and a foreign tongue he speaks to this people, to whom he said, "This is the rest. Give rest to the weary, and this is the refreshing." But they would not hear. But the word of Yahweh was to them command upon command, command upon command, line upon line, line upon line, here a little, there a little, so that they go and shall stumble backwards and be broken and snared and taken captive. Over to chapter 29, verse 22 and 23. Therefore, thus says Yahweh, who ransomed Abraham concerning the house of Jacob. Jacob is no longer put to shame. No longer does his face grow pale. For when he sees his children, the work of my hand, in his midst, they shall set apart my name, and shall set apart the set apart one of Jacob, and fear the Elohim of Israel. Now over to Acts chapter 7, verses 17 through 37. This is going to start on page 1058. But as the time of the promise grew near, which Elohim had sworn to Abraham, the people increased and multiplied in Mitzrayim, until another sovereign arose who did not know Joseph. Having dealt treacherously with our race, this one mistreated our fathers, making them expose their babies so that they should not live. At that time Moshe was born, and he was well-pleasing to Elohim, and he was reared 3 months in the house of his father. But when he was exposed, the daughter of Pharaoh took him up and reared him as her own son. And Moshe was instructed in all the wisdom of the Mitzrites, and was mighty in words and works. And when he was 40 years old, it came into his heart to visit his brothers, the children of Israel. And seeing one of them being wronged, he defended and revenged him who was oppressed, smiting the Mitzrite. And he thought that his brothers would have understood that Elohim would give deliverance to them by his hand. But they did not understand. And the next day he appeared to two of them as they were fighting and urged them to peace, saying, "Men, you are brothers. Why do you wrong one another?" But he who was wronging his neighbor pushed him away, saying, "Who made you ruler and a judge over us? Do you wish to kill me as you killed the Mitzrite yesterday?" And at this saying, Moshe fled and became a sojourner in the land of Midian, where he fathered 2 sons. And after 40 years were completed, a messenger of Yahweh appeared to him in a flame of fire in a bush in the wilderness of Mount Sinai. And Moshe, seeing it, marveled at the sight, and coming near to look, the voice of Yahweh came to him, saying, "I am the Elohim of your fathers, the Elohim of Abraham, and the Elohim of Isaac, and the Elohim of Yaakov." And Moshe trembled and did not have the courage to look. But Yahweh said to him, "Take your sandals off your feet, for the place where you stand is set apart ground. I have certainly seen the evil treatment of my people who are in Mitzrayim, and I have heard their groans, and have come down to deliver them. And now come, let me send you to Mitzrayim." This Moshe, whom they had refused, saying, "Who made you a ruler and a judge?" This one Elohim sent to be a ruler and a deliverer by the hand of the messenger who appeared to him in the bush. This one led him out after he had done wonders and signs in the land of Mitzrayim, and in the Red Sea, and in the wilderness 40 years. This is the Moshe who said to the children of Israel, "Yahweh, your Elohim, shall raise up for you a prophet like me from your brothers. Him you shall hear." And that's our Torah portion for this week. I appreciate you all so much. Have a blessed week. And I will be praying for everyone. Thank you.